Yo. Good evening. What's going on? We're back. We are back. Live. For some more painting. Yo, what's up? Toxicute, what's going on? We're here. Ready for another bit of painting. Yeah, let's get into it. You're playing League. Uh-oh. Damn. That's how it is, huh? That's thanks for coming. All right then. Well, let's get into it. So first, today's old paintings that slap. I have a fantastic one to show you. This is Man with a Cat by Cecilia Bow. It is a gorgeous painting. It has the creamiest brush strokes. Like they are quite literally like creamy. The paint is nice and thick. There's some beautiful brushwork in here. Some lovely like simplification. Yeah, just some really bold strokes and some really nice hue shifts going on, especially these kind of mauves and purples in here. As you can see, it's just very stylistically done. Very, very deft. It is an oil painting, yes. It is. Yeah, check out Cecilia Bow. Amazing painter. She has some really beautiful portraits, and yeah, they all have this very kind of thick, sort of creamy, exquisite brushwork to them. Nice mix of thicker, kind of more opaque paint, and then much more sort of transparent and sort of scumbled areas as well. But yeah, really nice. This is one of my faves. Would really like to see it in the flesh. It's Cecilia is a lady. Cecilia Bow. The first words I heard coming in were thick and creamy. Yeah. Welcome. But yeah, they are real good. So that's today's old paintings that slap. If you're interested, have a little look up of Cecilia Bow. You won't be disappointed. And this is Man with a Cat. So we go. All right then. So we'll jump into doing some painting today. I have like all the renders of this sort of snowy temple out of Blender. So we're going to sort of composite those together and then paint over it all. So I've got a lot of different render passes. I'll sort of talk about those as we go through. And yeah, I'll just sort of composite these renders together. And then once they're at that kind of stage, then it's a case of just like overpainting, really. So it should be fun. And yeah, when there's some more people here, I've got a little bit of audience participation as well, so we can decide what's going to happen on the next stream. So yeah, without further ado, I'll get into it. So I have all these renders here for the snowy temple. I'll just go through them. This is like the combined render with some textures on here. Like I said, we're going to do a lot of overpainting on this, but it's nice to have some information that we can use and or not use. And we'll sort of, composite this together in a way that kind of gives us a nice base to then paint over. But yeah, there's nothing crazy going on here when it comes to like Blender stuff. This is just putting some textures on various things. But I've got some render passes as well that are going to be very helpful. So we've got the normals pass. Basically, the normals just is telling you like based on color which way surfaces are facing. So as you can see, like all these upward facing surfaces are purple, like the flat of the ground, right? But this is very handy, and I'll be using this a little bit as we go to get certain selections from. But really helpful pass to have, especially for painting. Just takes a hell of a lot of time out of selecting things and makes it a bit easier to just generally like tweak everything as we go. So yeah, very helpful one. This is like the gloss pass, essentially just like the glossiness of these materials. We might want to use this one a little bit to get certain selections. I'm looking at kind of places in the snow here which might be quite useful. Again, just to sort of maybe go in and where the snow is getting a little bit icy, I can use some of these selections and then paint into that, and that's going to give me a kind of a nice sheen on things. We have this render here. Again, I'd probably only use this if I want to grab maybe some of these textures back out. I know, for example, on this part, this part of the render is like kind of blown out. And so I might want to claw back a little bit of detail and texture from a pass like this. So that's quite useful here. This one is going to be very useful. Okay. This one I'm going to kind of use like imagine this is like the entire environment covered in like frost or snow. So I'm initially going to use this and kind of mask back through it to get a kind of like frost and snow pass on like the underside of the roof and maybe on like the bottoms of these bits where they join the snow, and just get a really nice like snow covering. And I can use parts of this or whatnot to sort of bring that stuff back. So that's going to be really, really cool, really helpful in here as well. And I'll probably start with this one, to be honest. Again, this one I'm just going to use to bring back any sort of textures that I need. So this is like the flat textures in the scene, basically. So this can be helpful if I need to bring back a texture for any particular thing. Like I said, in the rings specifically, is where I might want to bring that back. Ambient occlusion pass. This one's going to be good if I need to basically get any more definition back. If you see this as it is, right? And let's put this on multiply and turn this on and off. You see how I'm getting ambient occlusion in here. So that's going to be really nice for things like the edge of the snowbanks down here. If I want to pump up this kind of interaction with the ground a bit more. So that's going to be a very helpful pass in here. Basically, if I need any more definition to something, I can bring that back in. So that's going to be pretty cool to have that there. Just leave it on normal for now. Then I have basically two mist passes. I've got like the mist pass or the depth pass, and then I've got an inverted version of that. And I have these as alpha channels, and what that means is that I can load those as a selection, or into a mask. So I can introduce kind of a sort of a depth mist, for example, using that, or if I want to say like color the background and not so much the foreground, and so on. And because I have it inverted as well, I can also do the inverse of that. So this is going to be very helpful for sort of separating things out. And I just like the way these look in and of themselves. Like this almost looks like a really cool picture anyway. It's quite cool. And then lastly, I'm missing a pass here. Hang on. Let me open up. Missing a crucial one. I do have it though. It is in here. Let me just open up these passes again and I'll grab it. But yeah, so these are all the passes you can, and there's many more, but that you can get out of Blender. And they're very, very helpful for digital painting and so on. So let me just change this back to 16-bit. And then we'll take this last pass out of here. This is the one I was missing. And this is the shadow pass. Basically, it just shows me what's in light and what's in shadow. And this is going to be very helpful to like reinforce the lighting back onto here. So I can basically pump up the contrast of the lighting a little bit more. And then finally we have our clown pass, which is, just IDing out everything in the render. So there we go. All the passes that we're going to use in this comp together. So I'm going to start with using this, basically this pass. And we'll start sort of using it to, like I said, carve out some interesting shapes with sort of frost and so on. So I'm going to mask this. I'm going to select these pillars out to begin with. Boom, done. Ship it. And then basically continue to paint some interesting shapes. So because this sort of essentially coats everything in white like this, yeah, it serves quite well as like I said, a sort of like a frost covering. So I'm going to use it to paint in some interesting shapes, which are going to sort of help to lead the eye into the composition, and also use it to sort of paint in the existence of like icicles and snowdrift or anything like that, and hopefully just get some interesting shapes going on. And some nice flow. So I can get this like nice idea of like sort of snowdrift kind of thing going on in here. You know, I imagine this place, it's been snowing obviously for quite a while through the ceiling, and then that snow has been sort of blown up and around with the wind, so it's reaching out and up into the cave. Sort of leaving these sort of snow drifts, and then obviously we can use it to, like, if anything it has sort of frosted over, if you like, introduce a little bit of that. So I know here we're going to have like a frozen kind of waterfall at the back. So we can have a little bit of like frost going on there around it. So it should look pretty nice. And we can also use it to clean up any snow. Because I know, like on this combined, there's some like areas where the snow is a bit like dirtier, which is fine. It's kind of like what I was looking for in here. But I also maybe want to simplify the snow out in places as well, because ultimately it gets a little bit noisy, and there's going to be some areas that are kind of hard to paint over because there's kind of too much texture from the 3D. So we're getting rid of some of the texture, and yeah, just keeping it a bit simpler, I guess, because it can't all be super complicated. So I'm just using this brush that has like a little bit of texture to it, and this is going to give me a sort of what looks like a kind of a frosty look. You know, this noise kind of looks like a, you know, where moisture in the air is frozen onto the surface of the rocks, because obviously it's not snow that's falling onto the ceiling, but whoop. But it's nice though, the contrast that I can get from having a sort of darker rock underneath and then the snow. Like, I can really help to lead the eye around a bit more in here. One thing I do need to take out is this sky hole, because we don't have a black sky. Wunderbar. All right. So we'll continue on with the snow. So I do want a little bit more contrast near the edges, because what I'm going to do is kind of use this to drop in some icicles. Who doesn't love icicles, huh? So we can see here I'm kind of using the snow to get kind of leading lines, if you like, for the eye to follow. Okay, and let's get rid of some of the snow down here, uncover our river, and also some of our kind of dirtier snow. I want to keep a certain amount of this dirty snow in the foreground. Bit more interesting with, you know, detail in that sense. Doesn't need to be as kind of blown out. And then we'll keep the snow a bit kind of simpler in the midground. Renmakia, what's going on? Welcome. Yeah, like I said, we can use this pass as well to sort of freeze the bottom of these pillars a little bit. And this will sort of join them into the scene, you know, a little better. But I'm sort of doing this in a purposeful way, like the brush strokes that I'm making. You know, I'm trying to keep the eye moving and following, you know, the sort of rhythms that I'm setting up. I'm not trying to like. I'm not just doing like random strokes, basically. Trying to do it in such a way that still moves in the direction that I want it to, but also still adding a little bit of like quote unquote realism. But it's stylized shapes, you know. Designed realism, I guess. Love the way the snow looks. Yeah, I was quite surprised. You know, I was just playing around in Blender with some different textures and so on. And I wasn't necessarily going to texture this a whole lot, but I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to learn how to do it anyway, and then go from there. But yeah, it's ended up being really nice. And I was like, well, I can probably paint over those. Give me a bit more detail to go with. But I think this particularly nice on some of these where it just makes it feel like it's frozen. You know, it's not just it nicely sort of integrates some of these posts into the ground a bit more, which I like. And you know, it's all good information. It's all good information to paint with. You know, overall when it's done, it's going to have a nice kind of painterly feel to it, and that will be in part due to, you know, the brush strokes being kind of stylized still, but also there'll be a fair amount of like overpainting that introduces that feel to it as well. I'm just cutting into this shape a little bit so it's not as sharp. Get a nice sort of brush strokey edge. Just like in today, but love the new curved pillars in the snow. Really suits the S-Sky shape. Yo, thanks, Sarah. And I appreciate you here on a lurk ting. On a lurk tip. All right. So we'll probably come back to this layer. It's not done, but I'm going to duplicate it. And the reason for duplicating it is on this particular layer is where I'm going to start sort of putting in kind of icicles, right? And that way, if I want to go back to the snow drifts, they're on a different layer. So I can't accidentally destroy something. So in the beginning, like I'll be quite careful with the layers to keep everything sort of separated out. And that way I have quite a few options, you know, when it comes to changing things around. But at a certain point, I'll then sort of switch modes, if you like, and start just painting on top of everything to sort of bring it all together. But in the beginning, I gotta keep all this stuff separate. But yeah, if you've ever done any sort of compositing of any sort, whether it's just like compiling stuff together like this, or indeed doing any photo bashing and stuff. Like, you'll know how important it is to understand your layers. And sort of in the beginning at least work non-destructively. Okay, so that's going to be quite good as my sort of icicles beginning right there, so I can always come back to that one. Let's quickly hit save. Don't forget to save. Okay, so what I do want to do is bring back a little bit of texture onto this guy. Celeria, thanks for the follow. So what I'll do is, using my kind of clown pass, I'm going to select this dude, and I'm going to go onto here and select this part of the texture out. Then I'm going to drop it here like this. And then I will use the normals pass. I'll grab this and I'll go select similar. So I'm just sort of grabbing all these greens here. I'm going to use that to erase a lot of the texture that I just grabbed there. So now I've only got it on the top of here, and I'm going to grab the normals again, and let's see, I want to maybe get these kind of blues. Ooh. Get these kind of blues in here, and then we'll do select similar again. Invert that, mask it, then just paint back into that mask a little bit. You know, I want to get rid of these really blown out hard edges, but I still want to keep like the idea of the light on there, right? Just taking that bit off there. Hang on, I'm gonna start this bit again, because basically I want to keep a certain amount of that light that's on there, but right now it's all the way blown out. So underneath, like, I have the texture of it here. So I need to just be selective about sort of painting that back in where I want it. And I was using the normal map there to grab different faces. So if I want to grab these kind of side faces, if I select some of the colors that are in that range and then go select similar, Photoshop's going to grab anything that's a similar color. And then what I can do is use that selection to paint the inside surfaces of the sort of engraving on that back in. Maybe I want to go filter, just blur that slightly. Just so it's not quite as sharp. And again, I'm going to paint into this a bit later, but it's just giving me like a little bit of information there. That I can use. This is all in an effort to just bring information back. Similarly for this guy in the back. Nice. Okay, so we wanted a little like frozen waterfall at the back here. So I'm going to go back onto here again. Select. Actually, I only need that one. Select that. I'm just going to hide that selection with Control H. And I can paint on the inside. Okay, we're going to cover that. Cover this hole up. We don't need that. I will do that in a bit. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't watch it. I'll mask this stuff back out in a second. Yeah, this is our kind of frozen waterfall, which is helping to tell the story here of essentially what was a subterranean temple at some point that has had a river kind of erode through the ceiling. And that river now currently starting to like cut its way through the floor. So it's like a big passage of time has passed. And yeah, we are seeing that play out here. Just gives the landscape a bit of history, right? Which I think is quite nice. So I'm just painting in this kind of frozen waterfall, trying to keep it kind of quite brushy, nice visible strokes. And then I'll sort of mask this back out again. This environment's actually making me cold. So I've got a few old images of mine together. I thought we could do a little quick vote as to which one I should remake. And then I will do that on stream. I'll revisit and remake an old image and basically critique it, and then kind of figure out, okay, if I'm going to redo it, what's that redo going to look like, and what problems is it going to solve? Kind of a bit of a learning exercise. But yeah, I'll share those in a bit. Wait until a few more people arrive. Et voila. So we get a nice frozen waterfall at the back. All right. So I think next port of call here is going to be thinking about the lighting a bit more. I want to get some more shadow coming in here, and then we'll think about a little bit of like atmospherics kind of stuff. All right, so we have this pass, right? The shadow pass. So I'm going to use this as a way to sort of pump up the lighting a bit. So just going to make a copy of it. Bring it down here. I'm going to put it on multiply. Colorize. And so, as you can see, I've got it set to a kind of a blue color right now. And, you know, if I have it all the way dark, it's doing this. But, hey, Yukino, what's up? If I do something like this, for example, we get a little bit more of a shadow coming through. And because it's, you know, it's colorized, I can change the color of it however you like. So that's one way we can use that pass, which again, is really nice. And we can kind of erase back into this as well, which is again can be really nice. So if I mask this, I'm gonna get my scratchy inker brush. I also don't want this to affect the sky, so but yeah, don't actually, let's not get too bogged down with those waterfall right now because it's nay important. Keep going with the general stuff. But yeah, as you can see, right, this is starting to kind of come together. And this just gives us a really nice, like, base to work into, to paint into. It just pumps up the lighting So I can turn the layers on. You can see what's going on. So we got the kind of the combined render, right? Brought some texture back on those rings. Then we have the sort of snow pass, snow and frost, icicles, waterfall, and now we've used this pass to sort of bump the lighting up a little bit, so it starts to get a little bit more atmospheric. So if I just like put this pass, for example, on lighten, you know, you see it does something like this, but this isn't exactly how I want to use this. So I've actually got it saved in here as an alpha channel, and I'll show you how that works. I'll do it with a crazy color just so you can really see it. But if I fill a layer with this green and I mask it, and I go to the channels and I load that alpha channel as a selection, and then I drop black into the mask, it's using the black and white information from this to basically mask out the color, the image. So you can see here, like in the foreground, right, well, it's really white, we're not seeing it, but then as it goes further back we get more of it. So that's what it's doing with this green. So this is like a really nice way to introduce some atmospherics into this. And so obviously I'm not going to use it as green like this, but let's say we go a bit more to the blue, maybe take some of that saturation out of it, brighten it up a little bit. You know, something a bit grey and overcast like this. And I want to not have that affect the sky, because you're making it look so easy. It's it is kind of easy with the renders, I'm not gonna lie. So we get a little bit of atmospherics in here. I think that needs to go. There we go, that's better. Then we can like obviously play around layer modes as well. Something like this. But what I want now is I want to double click on this layer. Ugh. Show me the layer. There we go. And you see this slider, I want to bring back on the underlying layer the lights. a little bit. So I'm going to slide them up here until I start picking out stuff that I don't want. And this, and then if I hold Alt and split this, I can kind of soften that selection off. But I want something like this where I've still got the top of that shape catching the sun. Because I still want a bit of the top of that. Let's hit save again. Hey Jonah, what's up? How you doing? Welcome, welcome. We're just compositing this together at the moment, ready to paint over it. So yeah, just got different render passes going on basically, and using them in different ways. Yeah, just kind of going through this, doing that, and then basically we'll paint over it. Just getting a little bit more contrast back. So I'm going to use the normal map now because I want to select these kind of purpley red surfaces. So these kind of surfaces over here. Let's do select similar and see what we get. Yeah, okay. And let's hide the selection, Control H. Just going to pull out again these little bit of top surface and these ones, just so we don't lose the edge of it. Maybe we can do a little bit of this as well. We'll just do this again. We'll go on our snow layer. Don't like that so much. Ugh. There we go. Just wanted a bit of kind of like frozenness near the top. Same on this one. Select him. Okay, then maybe you want to select those ones in the background, make them a little bit darker, I think. Only slightly. Basically just moving a bit of snow around back here so that the pillar has some contrast. Behind it. I was getting a bit lost. Okay. So let's use our ambient occlusion pass here on the multiply, and maybe let's lower the opacity of that to some degree, because it doesn't need to be really strong, but I would like a little bit of an extra oomph with some of those shadows. Perfecto. Who's texting me? Everyone. Everyone. Not really after like a warm sun, although it does look kind of nice. Not gonna lie. Whoa. Okay, let's get this selection again. It's getting a bit of texture out here in the sky. Yo, Mel, what's up? What's going on, Mel? How you doing? You're baffled. What are you baffled about? By the RAM price. Oh, yeah. Yeah, RAM prices have gone bananas. Looking to build a new PC. It's definitely not the time to be looking to build a new PC, I'm not gonna lie. So as fuel prices, yep. Great, I've got a long car ride this weekend. 2 long car rides. So that'll be nice. Nice and expensive. Lisa Craft 13. Thank you for the follow. Yeah, for real. It's like in Italy. You can pay your mortgage with a wheel of Parmigiano. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I'm wondering if I could pay off my mortgage. Actually, I have I have 16 gig of RAM and an NVIDIA 4090. Cool. There's like 20 people here now, so I'll get a little head count on this. So I want to revisit like an old illustration, and sort of redo it and sort of go through that. Is this a new piece or an old piece? What do you mean? This piece. This is a new piece. Listen, you goober. So yeah, I want to basically revisit an older piece and kind of redo it and do it on stream, and yeah, we'll just go through it. But also part of that will be kind of sort of figuring out what it needs and sort of talking you through my thought process about that, which I thought would be kind of interesting thing to do. So that being said, I put together 3 old pieces here, and these ones I just want you to vote on and see which you prefer me to redo. So there's this old splash art from, I think I did this, let's see, I'm gonna say 8 or 9 years ago. I'm just checking on ArtStation. 8 years ago. Okay. So there's this piece. And then there's these 2 pieces, and these are from about 12, maybe 13 years ago. So we got A, B, and C. I just want to see A, B, and C's in the chat. I'll also put these in the Discord and catch anyone that isn't here live with the votes. And yeah, I will do the one that has the most votes overall. So yeah, you can vote live now, or you can also vote in the Discord, and I'll put this in the Discord after the stream with a message. People can vote with the emojis. But yeah, we got 1 vote for A. Brilliant. Done. Ship it. But yeah, what I'll do is I'll put it in the Discord. A for you. Damn. Okay. Yeah, I'll put it in the Discord after stream, and yeah, with a message for everyone to vote on it, and we'll see which one we get. It doesn't mean that I won't, you know, if let's say I do A, I may also then at some point later do B and or C. I think B is fun. We're voting for which one I should redo on stream. Does it involve overall comp change? So I think what I will try and do is to just recreate it, you know, as much as possible how it is, but with some changes. I'm not promising that it will be the exact same composition, but I think for the most part, something like this, it would be kind of a bit more of a repaint, and kind of fixing of certain things. I think this one, it'd be good to like keep the composition, because I think the composition is a big part of this one. And it would be just basically like painting it up in more of my style, but fixing some of the issues, because there's a lot of perspective problems with the B. I think C would be an interesting one to maybe look for the same idea but a new camera angle, to So yeah, there's basically interesting stuff about all three that could be redone. Are you going to redo with full render or more like a critique of it? No, I think the idea would be that I would redo it with a full painting. So yeah. Interesting. Mel's saying C. Mel hath spoken. Brand newification. Arkham Knight says he votes for B. I think B. Okay, Zalen's on a B tip as well. Cool. All right. Well, this is good so far. Good votes. So yeah, I'll drop it in the Discord and we'll collect some more. C for El Chupacabra. Okay. Things are hotting up. They're all even. All right, nice. Well, if more people arrive, I'll bring this up again at the end and we'll have a see if there's any more votes to be gathered. Just redo all of them. I mean, eventually, I probably will get around to doing all of them. No doubt. Wow. Yeah, it's fun though, like revisiting some of them. And I've chosen ones that I really don't mind which one wins. It's just more to see what you guys were interested in. If you had something that was like particularly more interesting to you. Yeah, I'll sort of do it initially like it's a critique, you know, like what I'm seeing that I would want to change, and then we'll figure out kind of how to go about that, and maybe even like what technique to employ to do it as well, you know. Is it something where we might want to start off there's something rough in 3D and really find the camera angle and then build up the composition that way? Or is it going to be straight up just go into painting and just paint over it? Who knows? Who knows? Yeah. Yeah, so it was, Zalen is meant to be sort of like a subterranean, or what would have been at one point in time like a subterranean temple, and that had a river above it. But over time, you know, the river has cut through the ceiling, and now the temple is kind of in ruins, and it's making its way through the floor. And this is why we have like the waterfall at the back. It's like sort of indicating a little bit of this history going on. But yeah, the composition was designed around having like a very sort of graphic shape to kind of just grab the eye immediately, really. Could have been accidental. Oh, yeah, I was talking about composition and saying it's like Tony Hawksing its way in, but yeah, if you look at the previous episodes, I'll talk about it in a bit more depth. But essentially, the idea is that there are leading edges that kind of catch the eye to sort of spiral you in here. Similarly, these kind of lines, you know, this kind of thing. These are all leading lines that are kind of pulling you into the illustration. You know, there's a lot of this like well, yeah, leading lines to just draw you in. With a very subtle payoff, I might add. Like this waterfall is a subtle nod at some storytelling in the environment, but I'm not going to pretend like it's super obvious. But yeah, it is. You're meant to be sort of led to this, and like you see the waterfall, and then maybe you put together like, oh, this shape has been cut through the ceiling, you know, because of a river, and this is the river, you know. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you get it, maybe you don't. But that's what I was trying to achieve here, was just a little hint at some storytelling in the environment. And this one is part of my little personal project, my Witchfall project. See, I really like starting some nice pringling. Yes, thank you. I see you are a TCK enjoyer. Wonderful man. He's a very nice guy. Same world as the witch with the spear. Yes, exactly. Exactly. But yeah, I do really like sort of this part where you get to just kind of paint over the whole thing, simplify areas down, you know, nice clear brush strokes on things. And this is like the really enjoyable bit, I think. You know, you set up the render, well, actually way beforehand. You know, we conceive of the composition and then go into 3D, build some bits, and then set up the render, compose it, you know, get your lighting and your textures and everything. And all that stuff is like well and good, serves a purpose, right? But then it's really fun, this bit where you can just go in and just paint over the top, and you basically, this is where it really comes alive, you know. Really get into the environment. And I swear I think about the edges, you know. Let's get this selection again. Let's go on the inside of this. But yeah, I really enjoy doing the environments like this. It's been well worth it to get back into some 3D and learn a bit of Blender and all that good stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna obviously keep practicing it and maybe get into some environment art, even for work stuff. But I'd be quite interested to get into it. You can make a proper poll in the chat too. Is it? I don't even know how you do that. But it's alright. I'll do one in Discord because, like I said, most people aren't here. So I've got the stream votes, so you can vote again in the Discord. And then we'll do it. So tomorrow I am not here, unfortunately. I've got some errands I need to run because I'm away this weekend. Got the paintball tournament, haven't I? Paintball tournament this weekend. I got to slap some people around. Got trophies to win. Fingers crossed. Yeah, indeed. It would be great. We won the last tournament last year. So it's all to play for. How many teams? Let's have a quick look. It's usually about sort of 15 or so. Yeah, it's like 15 teams. Let's make sure I stay zoomed out here because it's actually not so important zooming in right now. You zoom in too much at this point and you kind of overdo things that aren't really necessary. Stay zoomed out. Keep bigger picture in mind. And I'm looking to sort of simplify shapes, basically. The render, well, the 3D is quite rough, right? And then the render sort of just picks up on that. And what I want to do is bring back a lot of painterly feel to this. And, you know, some clean strokes, nice sense of direction, and kind of the graphic nature of the light again. So a lot of this is just taking information that's there as a sort of a starting point and then simplifying it down using the color palette, but basically it's being very brushy with it. can see I'm starting to sort of get a sense of direction here. You see this overpaint so far just sort of clarifies edges and takes out noise, and overall just simplifies some surfaces down. We need an edge here. Ooh. Let's hit save. But yeah, honestly, this bit is the payoff. The really fun part. All the hard work's done at this stage. You know, the hardest part was figuring out the big composition and shapes, and you know, trying to get the kind of storytelling element in there as we sort of made it in 3D and so on. But now we're just at the really fun bit. Ultimately, it doesn't take that long. If you just break the process down into each bit, you know, in the beginning, the composition is all that's really important. It's not about the details. Interesting. So this is a part that probably needs some simplifying. A lot of snow bumps there, you know. Doesn't need so much noise. Some of these like pillowy bits are quite nice, you know. Kind of these random bits that the snow forms. But yeah, some of it a bit too noisy. Don't need all of it. You know, with the brush strokes, we're sort of continuing that same idea that we had with the snow in general. Is just sort of brushing it into the directions that we want the eye to go. We just create the movement with every stroke. You're just compelling the eye to take the journey, basically. You're just being like, hey, hey eyeball, come on, take this journey with me. Composition is all about tricking the eye to getting in the car with you. Stranger danger. Good composition will get you to get in the car. Only in Toyota on this terrain. Yeah, yeah. You're not getting through here on a Nissan Micra, that's for sure. It looks better upside down, does it? It's kind of confusing, isn't it? It's always tempting to put like loads of bloom on something like this. And I do like seeing it, but I have to resist the urge. It does look good. Feel the urge. Got the urge. A little bit won't hurt. Yeah, it's super tempting always. We'll think about it. We got plenty of other painting to do. Get a bit more ambient occlusion under some of this. Did at one point think I might want kind of like some tree roots growing over this, but I think it maybe interrupts the sort of graphic read of the hole a bit too much. Of the hole. Just seeing if we get a little pop of saturation. With the waterfall here, it's that little bit more of a sort of a turquoisey blue. Back here, slight bit of like bloom essentially off the ice. Hey Castonia, what's going on? Haven't seen you in a little while. How are you doing? This is looking epic. Love the shapes. Thanks. We try. We try. Ching. Yeah, live stuff. Finally catch up though. I'm good, thank you. How are you? Yeah, I'm alright, thanks. Not bad at all. Oh, it's just because it's a PNG, you bastard. Yeah. So normals pass, very, very helpful for this kind of stuff. Whoops. Just lets you grab certain faces, certain details. Okay, what time is it? We got half an hour. Is it time to start talking about food and get really hungry? Is it that time? It is time. Alright everyone, what have you got for dinner? I don't actually know what we're having this evening. It's mystery time. We're going mystery. I could really dig a pizza though. Tell you what. There's not a day that I couldn't really dig a pizza, let's be fair. Yeah, a whole bowl of chicken nuggets with garlic dip for late lunch yesterday. Oh my gosh. That does sound really good. I wanted KFC. They closed on me. Damn. KFC's not that good here. Yeah, I had pasta last night, isn't it? Pasta. I went for a run yesterday and then had to eat the pasta. I was ravenous. Unbelievably hungry. Oh, biryani, goddamn. Heck yeah. Could murder a biryani. Okay, let's get a bit of a specular thing going on here. This is my favorite bit. This bit right here. Spec it up, King. Yeah. Trying to use the sort of the specular, create some nice shapes in the snow. I'd say one thing I have failed on in this though is it did need to feel a bit spookier. But to me it feels a little bit inviting. So maybe we need to grade it slightly. Can't be too inviting now. does look inviting. Yeah, that's... You see, this is a bit of a problem for me. It's meant to be not that inviting. I guess not everything has to be gloomy, does it? But I was kind of wanting this to be a little bit uninviting in a way. Well, we failed. But it just it looks like it'd be nice to like walk on. Like the snow's kind of, you know, when it's snowed, but then it's like the snow kind of freezes, and then when you tread on it, it goes like proper crunchy underfoot. Make the icicles bigger. Is that the techers? Big icicles equals unfriendly. It adds some danger, yeah, indeed. I think, I don't know, we can play around with the danger. Proper shrimping in my chair. We need a little shrimp alarm. When the boy shrimp. Wow, this is fire, dude. Hey, Calves. Richard, how you doing, man? Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a nice one. This one, a nice 3D coat Blender Photoshop collab. Did you start work again? Yes, I did. I've had my first month back already. How's it going? Yeah, good, thank you. Good. Yeah, very, very busy. Very, very busy. But it's great to be back. I missed my workmates. Very cool bunch. So it's yeah, it's nice to be back, and yeah, it's good. I've got renewed energy, so that's nice, and yeah, it's been good to just sort of jump back in, which is good, and I've been working really quickly as well, which is good. I think it just goes to show, like, having some proper rest, kind of get your mind back in shape, really helps. Because I've been going rapid. I've been going big rapid. Do you work in an office or from home? I have a studio that I work in, so I'm freelance, but I don't work at home. So this little studio that you see me in is my workplace, basically. I guess I meant it from the point of view, are you seeing your colleagues in person or not? Ah, okay. No. Everyone on my team is remote. So yeah, there's no seeing of people IRL, but you know, in the mornings we have a nice call and a chat and all of that, which is really nice. It'd be nice to see everyone in person, for sure. But yeah, unfortunately, just remote. Yeah, I do try and make it over to Berlin quite a bit though to catch up with peeps. So I'm sure I'll make it over there at some point this year. Once again. That's kind of better, eh? Bit of a brighter sky. I was just kind of missing the sort of graphic nature of it. Yeah, this is like my favorite area. This little crop here. Okay, I see reflections are top tier. Danke. Dankeschön. We do like an icy reflection. Whoa. Right, should we have a little run through the layers, shall we? Always fun to turn layers on and off, so. All right. So this is where we started at the beginning today with the sort of the raw renders out of Blender with all the different render types. And yeah, today we started off by like comping all of those together. So we initially disable that layer. We had this layer, right? And then the sort of the raw textured layers with lighting, but just, yeah, all textured. And we've got this, which is basically like an untextured, diffuse texture of everything. And I use that in the beginning as a kind of snow pass. So I just masked it out, and I basically used it to simplify some of the snow on the ground where it was like, it was a bit of noise and stuff that was nice for extra colors, especially around the water, but I didn't want it everywhere. And then masked in some basically like frost on the underside of the roof, but always with the sort of compositional flow in mind, so the shapes kind of help the overall graphic nature of everything. And then like duplicated that layer and used this one as just icicles from the top. So we've got that. And then I brought back in some texture on some of these areas that had been like blown out in the render. So we used some of the stuff there. cool trick with masking out the snow. Yeah, you know, you do this a lot with environments like this, but if you've got anything like that, like grass or sand or whatever, just render the whole environment with it. You know, do a pass where everything is like grass, for example, or like a green material, and then you can use that to basically mask out grass shapes. You know, growing out up at the bottom of stuff, or in this case, use it as snow. But yeah, you can do some really smart stuff by masking through like one render over another. So then next I added the waterfall, frozen waterfall back here. And then what we used is a shadow pass. So we used this pass from the renders. And this is just basically gives you shadows from all the light sources. And it gives it in this very graphic way, right? So I used that on multiply, and I colored it kind of blue and then knocked the opacity down. So this basically punched up the lighting more in here. Then on top of this, I just knocked back a little bit of the darks back there, and what we used for that is the mist pass. So where is it? Yeah, here. We used this mist pass to basically in an alpha channel to bring in a little bit of this noise reduction, value reduction back there. Basically just killing the blacks back there, because we don't want these values super dark all the way back there. This is me replacing the sky. And again, just bringing in a little bit of information on this guy, because it was a bit lost. Then the ambient occlusion pass. So on 46, let's turn this up. This was the ambient occlusion pass. So we stick this on multiply, and that gives us some real deep ambient occlusion here. And I just turn the opacity of this down because I don't need it that dark. So it was on 46 there. As you can see, it just places all of the objects and crevices and stuff a bit more, so everything feels kind of more in the scene. Again, this was just inverting that mist pass and bringing in a little bit more shadow, just vignetting the image a bit more. So darkening the values down in the corners, kind of slightly pushing the eye a bit closer to the center. Basically keeping these two things and, like, you know, in here as being where we want to look. And then I started painting on top of things. So this is a layer where dropped in kind of icicles and stuff on the top. This is like the main kind of cleanup layer where I kind of take out some of the noisy detail, and I'll zoom in on here. So something like this on this layer becomes this. Back and forth, just tidying it up. Areas like this become a lot more like, you know, flowy. Keeping the eye moving and just simplifying planes down, making things a bit more readable. So here, like, I introduced a little bit of a kind of reflection behind this pillar. Just makes it a little bit more readable. But yeah, you can see this pass really helps the kind of the noise and overall flow of things. It becomes a lot more streamlined at this point. This is bringing back, using the normals pass and bringing back a little bit of darkness on these side planes here, just to give those a bit of form. And then this was again a little bit more overpainting. Again, this introduces a little bit of kind of specular onto the snow, and a bit of texture on the stone and so on. But again, it's just more overpainting. And then got a tiny bit of color dodge here, just to bring in this slight sort of turquoise in here. Just a nice little pop of saturation in an otherwise fairly monochromatic piece. And then this very top layer is just a little bit of a value adjustment. Again, mostly concerned with it in the back, very back there. I gotta go. Thanks for the stream, Alex. Hey, you're welcome, Yukino. How much time do you put into preparing the Blender file? Yeah, so we did. There was 2 streams. One of me working in 3D Coat, modeling the stuff in the scene, and then another one of between 3D Coat and Blender. So, and there was a bit of thought that went in between, but I think we're looking at probably about 10 hours from like the very beginning with nothing to now. Sorry, Photoshop's kind of like frozen on me a little bit. Oh no. But anyway, that is going to conclude the stream today. Hopefully this doesn't crash. We did save. So, but yeah, anyway, if you want to watch the previous streams back, if you follow the link to the YouTube, all the previous streams are on the playlist there, so you can watch back the entire process of this from the 3D to now. And then, yeah, the next stream, I'll be streaming again next week, next Wednesday. I'm not going to be here tomorrow for the stream, and I'm away for the weekend, but we'll be back streaming again next week, and we should have some dates for like another nice weekend stream as well, a much longer one. So yeah, thanks for joining me. So it seems like Photoshop's frozen here, so hopefully it unfreezes once the stream's ended. But yeah, thanks again. And what I will do is I will drop this in the Discord, and you can vote for which one you want me to do next. So these are old works of mine, and I'm going to redo one of them based on which ones you vote for. So we've got 2 votes for each so far, but I'm going to drop it in the Discord, and people can vote with emojis. If you voted on stream, you can vote again. And I will next time on stream, I will redo one of these. Yeah, and we'll work it up. All right then. Take care, and I will catch you all next time. See ya.